Welcome back to this week. I guess you'd call this a podcast. I am just going to do these every once in a while. I'm going to try to do them every week, but I might miss a couple of weeks. So I just wanted to talk through some things with you guys. And I just watched the Odyssey. So I'm going to do a full Odyssey movie review and let you know what I think. So stick around for that. I've got a couple of things I want to talk about, but that's going to be the main topic of today. But before I do that, I'm going to talk about a few other things that's in the entertainment sphere right now. I'm going to talk about some stuff with Tom Holland. I'm going to talk about some DC things and just have a conversation with you guys. So if you have anything you want to talk about, put in the comments down below and we can just discuss it, because that's what I want this channel to be. I want you guys to have a conversation with me, and we can also talk about just movie-related things. This is going to be a slow podcast-esque video. So if you guys enjoy this, let me know. I don't have a guest. I'm just talking by myself. And so I'm saying so a lot. I gotta stop that. But that's the point of this. To get better at talking in front of a camera, especially by myself, because I create content primarily by myself. And so I'm going to do that. Let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about with you guys is Tom Holland just was in the Odyssey, and he's also going to be coming out with his Spider-Man movie that's coming out in like a week or so as of the release of this. But he announced that he is going to be doing a biopic as Fred Astaire, if that's how you pronounce it right. I think that's right. Fred Astaire. This is interesting. I like that Tom Holland is doing this, because we haven't seen Tom Holland do like a biopic-esque thing at all. He's always in scripted content like the Odyssey, which I'm going to be talking about soon. And he is diving into the biopic realm, which is great because he has a dance background, and he is great at, I think he's going to be great for this. He looks great for the role. He's got the dance background. He's got a lot of the right attributes to play this character. So I think this will be fun. I was just looking earlier at some of Fred Astaire's movies, because even though he's been around a while and I like a lot of older movies, I don't know if I've seen much of Fred Astaire, honestly. One of my favorite movies is My Fair Lady. I mean, not My Fair Lady. Hello, Dolly. Excuse me. And I think I like these older dance movies, and Singing in the Rain. I grew up watching Singing in the Rain so much. It was always really fun watching that movie and seeing the progression of cinema as a whole. And so I think it's fun to see these biopic movies. Some of them are getting very, like very cookie cutter, like how they build them up, how the character, from rags to riches type things. So they are getting very cookie cutter-esque, but I think Tom Holland will play a great Fred Astaire as a character, with his dance moves and everything. I know in a couple of interviews, Tom Holland has talked about he's already going into, the routines and practicing his dancing again, where he hasn't done that in a while. He's trying to get back into the dance moves for Fred Astaire. That's awesome. That's awesome to me. I really like Tom Holland. He's a great actor. Me personally, I don't care for these actors that want to be very, this sounds bad, but I don't mean it as a negative connotation. Just me personally, I don't like this. These like very pretentious actors that are like, I'm in it for this role. I'm going to make this very artful thing. One of my favorite directors is Steven Spielberg, and the reason why I like Steven Spielberg is for the fact that one of his core beliefs is he wants to make artful things, but he doesn't want the art to get in the way of the storytelling, the story that he's trying to tell with his characters, with his story. So he wants to make it very fun. That's why I think a lot of his movies are like based around kids and just kids having fun. Excuse me. Kids just having fun playing and exploring the world is what I like about Steven Spielberg. And so I think I like that in Tom Holland's acting. He's done a great job with that, where he dives into the characters and just kind of portrays them in a very linear way, but not giving us what it feels like an artful piece, if that makes sense to you. So Tom Holland playing Fred Astaire would be really fun. This might be more artful, and we'll see, but I'm looking forward to that, and I think that's going to be fun. One of the other things, when I was watching the Odyssey, I saw the trailer for I Am Rocky, and I know I'm excited for that. I grew up watching the Rocky movies, and I liked it because it is just about a boxer, but it's a great story. So I think I Am Rocky is going to be a great movie where it's telling us the story. And I know it's rags to riches. Like I said, I don't care for these kind of cookie cutter-esque stories, but I think it's going to be fun to kind of see these characters come alive on screen. And let me know what you guys think about these biopics, because I'm curious if you think they're becoming too much or if they're, what you want to see on screen. And something else I wanted to talk about is kind of the DC universe. DC is coming up with a lot now. They just released the trailer for Lanterns. And I like it. I like what DC is trying to do. They're trying to create a universe for that comic books series that have been around for a while, like Marvel has. But it feels like what they're trying to do is just copy Marvel. Why are they trying to copy Marvel and create something that we've seen before? The Lanterns trailer, they brought in a few characters, and there's a lot of confirmed other characters from the DC universe that are going to be in it. But that's interesting that they're trying to copy Marvel and create something that we've kind of already seen. I love superhero movies, but I remember in high school, and I'm years out of high school now. I remember in high school I was watching every Marvel movie. I loved following the stories, each character tying into the other story, but yet it kind of connected all together, and I loved that. Now I'm getting a little tired of it. But Hollywood likes to, create these characters and cookie cutter things. They like to make things that are, something that works, something that they know people will show up for in the theater. And so it makes sense, and it's a safe bet. And sometimes it's not great to do the safe bet. It's good to make a unique story. But do we need another, Marvel universe inside of DC? Kind of something that's different than Marvel. I don't know. I want to discuss that with you guys. So put in the comments. I just did a trailer reaction to the Lanterns trailer, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about that. And so let's have a conversation. I want to create these longer form videos so we can have these discussions. So maybe I could go through some comments of what you guys are thinking about everything, and then we can kind of discuss it and figure out how we feel as an audience watching these movies. Let's get into the Odyssey, because I have a lot to say about that. I just watched it last night, and I feel great about it. It was great. I'm going to just give my ranking on it. I think it was like an 8 out of 10 for movies. It was not perfect, but it was great. I think that there was some good things and there were some bad things. I think overall there was great. It was great. The two things that I feel like were negatives with the movie, and you guys can hate on this or like it. This is just my opinion on things. I like to just discuss with people what they think, if they agree with me or not, my thoughts, because this is how I view cinematic. This is how I view movies, and this is how I enjoy entertainment. So the one thing that I think from a filmmaking perspective that I didn't like is there was a few lines that felt a little cheesy to me. I think Matt Damon had like one, Robert Pattinson had like one, and Anne Hathaway had like one. That pulled me out of the story for the Odyssey movie. I think specifically the one I remember is Matt Damon, Odysseus, is coming back to is returning, and he sees Tom Holland for the first time, and Tom Holland is like, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And he said, I'm here with Odysseus. And he said the words like, "I am coming back to assess the situation so that Odysseus can come back." And that felt weird to me. There was a few written lines, and I don't know if that is the actors performing their role or if that's written in the script that made it feel cheesy. It just pulled me out of the situation. Not that it was bad that he said that, but I wanted him to say, like, "I'm here with Odysseus, scouting out the land before he returns," because it's been 20 years. And him saying, "I'm here to assess the situation," felt a little cheesy to me. It was cheesy, and there was a few lines that were just cheesy. Robert Pattinson, I can't remember exactly what he said, but there was a few lines that he also said that were very cheesy and felt kind of weird written-wise. Maybe it's not him quoting the script directly. Maybe it's him improvising and they put it in because they're like, oh, it tells what he's trying to feel, and it just doesn't fit great. But I think overall it felt great besides those like three little very nitpicky things. And overall it was great besides that. And then kind of the whole story as a whole, like I said, I gave it an 8 out of 10, which is a high score. That's a great score. It's a great movie. I definitely recommend you go see it in theaters because it needs to be seen in theaters. It's a great movie to watch in theaters. But I think Christopher Nolan, I want to talk about him for a second. Him as a director, he's a great director. I love a lot of his work. I think his movies like The Prestige, Inception are great movies. I love Christopher Nolan and his plot twist movies where he gives us that twist at the end and just like leaves you like, what? That was crazy. I didn't expect that. He's great at that. And I would like to see another movie like that from him soon. I think that'll probably be his next movies where he gives us this plot twist type ending. Because Christopher Nolan likes to do these. He likes to do, not biopics, but like original stories like Batman. Nothing plot twisty in that. It's just Batman. And then he'll throw in like Inception or the Prestige movie in there with his movies that he makes. So I could see him doing something like that next. But for him in this movie, The Odyssey, I think he is such a well-known director, and held in such high regard. He likes to do these artful choices with things, where it goes back to what I was saying, I think, a little bit earlier, and I hope I can convey this correctly, where he tells a great story, and I want it to be very linear of Odysseus is trying to get back to his kingdom, get back to his family, get back to his wife, his kid, but then he throws these artful choices in there that make it feel less linear and more like a movie. Why are you taking me out of the picture of this story of this character trying to be a human, superhuman, if you want to call it that, and giving us these very artful choices of things where I can't even specifically say. It's just like very artful choices with it be the music and how it's like they want him to pull the bow back, and it's like ding when he pulls the bow back. That took me out of the story a little bit because he's trying to make it very artful. Now, if he just had the bow trick and he didn't have this doom music behind it, I would be like, okay, makes sense. He's the strongest guy. He's the most powerful guy that could pull his bow back. But he threw that little ding of the music in, and it kind of pulled me out of the story a little bit. And I didn't hate the bow thing. It just felt very artful and like this artist choice. And maybe he's trying to do some stuff because he's getting up there with his films. He's made a lot of movies, and he's trying to reach and create something that he's not made in the past. But I love very linear, biopic-esque stories. If you made this movie like a biopic where it's like he felt human, but he can accomplish all these things, then I would love that because it makes me feel like I'm not being placated in an artful way by his story. And so those were the only two things that I felt like, for me, I didn't care for in the story. But overall, I loved the movie. I think a lot of the actors did great. I think the story was told in a great way where we saw his kingdom and his wife and Tom Holland's character, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland's character, showing the suitors, showing they're fighting for that kingdom kind of, and then him trying to get back and being like, I need to get back. This is my goal. This is my desire. And they I think paired it together pretty well where I wasn't really confused where in the timeline things were. And I felt like everything fit. I wasn't confused and hated the story in that regard. I think I love the movie Troy with Brad Pitt. And to be honest, watching that movie before this, The Odyssey, made it a lot easier to know the characters and be like, okay, yeah, the war, the horse, where it fits in the timeline of things, even though it's not exactly the same story, makes sense to me and tells a more fun, interesting way. fun and interesting. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but like makes it more understandable to the Odyssey because it was bouncing around a lot. Also, I like the movie Troy, and so fun fact, Christopher Nolan was slated. He was the first director to be put on to make the movie Troy, and then something happened where he got bounced, or he was like, no, I can't do it. I'm going to do something else, and someone else took over. And so that's interesting to hear that he wanted to make this story or like this, Greek mythology type story in the past that he had never done. And so he's going back to it. And he's always wanted to do that for like 20 years now. That's fun. That's a fun fact and something I enjoyed hearing. But overall, the story was great. I think there was a lot of things in it, like I said, that you kind of have to understand. Like the lotus leaf, the lotus flower, if you want to, I don't know how you would say it. I guess the flower. The lotus flower. They did not explain it really. They just were like, oh, he's losing his memory. He's eating a lot of lotus flower. And if you don't know what that is, then you kind of are confused a little bit why he's been there for 7 years, I think is what they said, on this island with this lady just not wanting to go back to his family. And I think that's interesting, but you kind of have to have a history of the story and of Greek mythology a little bit to understand and comprehend everything, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to say this a lot. Let me know what you guys think about that. Do you think that everything was well explained, really well explained, or if there were some confusing things throughout the story that you were confused about? Overall, the story was great. I liked everything that they told. I think there were some parts that I've heard from other people say that were done pretty quick, like the sirens where he was tied up at the boat. I can't remember what exactly they called it, but the sirens, and I feel like that part was, we did it really fast, and maybe it should have been, dove into a little bit deeper, but I thought it was good. I never watching it felt like, oh, I wanted them to, talk about that a little bit more. I never felt like that in this movie. Some people, I think, might. If there was anything that you guys thought were kind of rushed over, let me know. But I think it was really good in the story because it was bouncing back and forth. It was telling us the story of his home at the time of telling us his story, traveling back to get back to his home and to his wife. And I think it was fun, and I think they tied it together pretty well at the end, where they gave us some time at the end to kind of resolve things. Once he got back, he got into that big fight, and he had the challenge for the suitors. Who's going to be the suitor of the queen? And then he kind of ultimately defeated all of them because nobody could best him with the bow. That was fun. That was a fun moment that I think is super interesting, and I think tied the story, wrapped it up pretty well, but didn't feel like he got back, it's over. He's back. And I really liked that. Overall, I think Christopher Nolan is doing some great stuff. I wish he would go back to my critiques. I think I'm going to talk about the critiques more than I'm going to talk about the things that I liked, even though I liked the movie as a whole. It was a great movie. I feel like I can talk about the critiques better than the things I liked because that's what I'm thinking about. Why did I not like it? And so the critiques of things, of just the artful choices of everything, felt very artful in a way that I didn't care for. I know a lot of people love that he filmed it with an IMAX camera, 70 millimeter IMAX camera. And me personally, I don't care. I know as a filmmaker, I should. I know that it is cool to see all the aspect ratios that IMAX gives you, the quality that he gives you with that, and doing it that way. But I don't care personally, because I want a story. I like to feel things with my emotions of him coming back to his son and being like, I've missed you. I have been working and fighting to get back to you for 20 years. And now I'm sad. Honestly, something that I'm thinking, and I know it was a pretty good moment. This is a spoiler. I mean, the whole thing's a spoiler, but was the part where he goes to his dog, and that's how Tom Holland's character, his son, recognizes that he's Odysseus, is he goes to the hound and is sad for the dog dying. I wish they would have lingered on that a little bit more. I wish that they would have been like, he mentioned it. There was a line in there once he's talking to Anne Hathaway, his queen. He says, I weep for all the years that I lost. And I wish we saw that with the dog a little bit more, because it seemed like he loved that dog to where he recognized that was his pet. And I wish he kind of stayed on that and said, oh, this animal's life is gone now. He's too old. He's passing away. And I missed it. I missed that moment. And I know Christopher Nolan had to make the choice of saying that was not the point of the scene. The point of the scene was so his son could recognize that this is Odysseus, because he didn't know his father. He was like, oh, but he recognized that that's the hound. And so that was not the point of the scene, but I wish that we could, from a storytelling perspective, get rid of some of the artful things, the things that made it like an artful cinematic movie, and tell us a story where he's emotional. See the emotions of who this character is, and have him kind of have me feel that with my life, of like, what have I done in my life that I have spent so much time on that I've missed out? If you made me feel like that, if you made me feel like, oh wait, I've been chasing this nonsense, this drama-filled thing, this thing that was not worth it, and I missed out on this pet. I missed out. I mean, that's a small thing, and I wouldn't say like miss out on your pet, but like missed out on my kid's life. My son is an adult now. He's going to become king, and I missed all that. I wasn't there to give him the training he needed. I wasn't there to teach him how to draw the bow and to string it like I know how to do, because I was off at war. If you told that story, I would feel more invested to these characters more than giving us this artful, music, pretty story that I feel like Hollywood falls into with a trap, because they want the award. They want the award for the movie that they're making, and not giving us the emotions of things. Yeah, that's a great way of saying it, is I want to feel more emotion and feel how it applies to my life and have me feel my life through his character rather than any artful thing. That's what I want. I want that. That's what I wanted from this movie, and I got it. I'm not saying I didn't get it. I think I got it. It just was, I was pulled out a couple of times throughout the film, and I lost that because of the artful choices that Christopher Nolan wanted to tell or wanted to put in there to make this a maybe award-winning movie that would get an award. Maybe not. I don't know why he made those choices, but I would love to have a conversation about this with him and see what he thinks about that. That would be awesome to just sit down and be like, why this choice over that, and just see what he thinks. Maybe Christopher Nolan is feeling that, in feeling this thing over that thing. And so he's a lot older than me, and so I'm not questioning why he made this story the way he did. But me personally, I see things as a viewer a little bit different. Have you guys seen the Odyssey? What did you guys rank it as? I feel like it was a great movie. It was not perfect, but it was a great movie. And I definitely think that it was probably top 3 movies that are going to come out this year. And so I'm definitely recommending that you guys go watch it. If there was anything that you guys wanted to discuss with it, if you've seen it, then put it in the comments down below. And this podcast-esque video that I'm making, I just want to do these once in a while. I'll try to do them maybe once a week, come out on Sunday. But if I can't get to it, then I'll skip a week and come back to it the next week. But let me know what you guys think of the Odyssey. If you guys enjoyed this, just conversation. And if there's anything that you guys want me to talk about next week, then put it in the comments also, because I want to just hear this. I want to have a conversation with you guys. That's what this channel is having a conversation about movies with my viewers and letting you guys know about what I think and give you guys a relationship with me a little bit better than just reactions. So let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching this, and I will be back next week with another long-form video. So I'll see you.